So we begin with the gospel because this weekend is the big send-off, and this is important. So we begin with the Gospel of Matthew, which is the conclusion, the very end. Jesus has told his disciples, y'all need to go to this mountain, and we don't know the mountain, but y'all go, so they went. So now they're on a mountain. So then Jesus now, and as the action, we come into the action here, Jesus then, I guess, comes later, but he shows up. Okay, so Jesus comes. And immediately, what happens? When they saw Jesus, they worshiped. So the 11 were happy to see Jesus, and they worshiped him. But then the sentence concludes, but they doubted. So let's put this in perspective here. Here are the disciples, or apostles, who have been with Jesus the whole time through the call, all of his teachings, his arrest, crucifixion, post-resurrection accounts, and he has been giving them all of the stuff they need to know, and they've been with him this whole time, going through all of this. And we conclude on Matthew with doubt. I mean, this is the last thing we hear about the apostles. That's it. And now the gospel ends, almost. But at least, as far as the apostles are concerned, the last word is doubt. Now, we have to make some assumptions here. We're assuming, since Jesus is God, he understands and hears, or at least knows, that they are doubting. We have to assume that because he is God. So, even while they are worshiping and at the same time doubting him, Jesus is aware of this. Now, thankfully, Jesus does not seem to be concerned one bit about this. He does not reproach them, doesn't even address it, even though he knows it's happening. He goes right to the point. Okay, all power in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go, just go. Go therefore. You are my apostles. You are my witnesses. Baptize, teach. Do everything I have commanded you and go and do it. And I will be with you. And obviously, he will be with us when we celebrate, obviously, Pentecost next week, as the things go here. But we still have to deal with this doubt that the apostles have. And that's important. And I believe, allow me to go to the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians and maybe, from my perspective, look at some of this doubt or the reason for the doubt. St. Paul talks to us today, brothers and sisters, may the eyes of your hearts be enlightened. The eyes of our hearts. But anyway, may our hearts be enlightened, that you may know what is the hope that belongs to the call of Christ. And here it is, the hope. This is the tough part for all of us. Here comes the doubt. The hope that the world will get better. The hope that the world has a chance. Really does have a chance. Because, as Jesus is about to go on his big send-off, and he comes and they're worshiping, even as the apostles are worshiping, they're probably saying, I really don't know if this Jesus thing is really going to work out. Because it is tough. This Jesus thing requires us to do some things that are not pleasant. Love one another, forgive, kindness, compassion, or if you want to go with one thing, one of the most famous things of how we get judged. I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick, you visited me. And that's what we are called to do. That's what Jesus wants us to do. And Jesus says, you are my witnesses. Go and do this. And then the apostles, no doubt, are thinking, I am not sure. Because we are going to go into a world where this maybe is not accepted. We're going to go into a world where we're going to be made fun of, and we're going to go into a world that's even worse, where people are going to hurt us, put us down, and eventually, we know, even kill because of the belief. So there is some cause to doubt. And I believe this is what they were thinking while this was going on, if you allow me to kind of get into their mind a little bit, why they doubted. In the Acts of the Apostles, Jesus says, I am going to ask you to be my witnesses in Jerusalem, throughout Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. You are to be my witnesses. And with that, up he goes. Big cloud, and whoosh. And it's kind of a supernatural event, I guess. So up he goes. And instantly, and this is a strange thing about God, I've always found, God does not allow much time for anything, because while they were looking intently at the sky, which every one of us would be doing, this is a normal human reaction. This is normal for all of us. While we were looking intently at the sky of what he was doing, suddenly two men dressed, two angels, stood beside them and immediately said, what are you doing? Men of Galilee, why are you staring up? Go. Go. Quit staring up. It's time to get to work. God does not allow one instant of rest. And it takes a supernatural event here to get the point across. But this whole thing kind of began in a supernatural event. There were some shepherds in a field. They were doing their thing. It was just another night. And then something supernatural happened that changed their life. And obviously the world has changed as well. Every once in a while, throughout these instances, there's supernatural events that happen. And I maintain that God is kind of challenging us to be aware of the supernatural events, but at the same time, don't dwell on them. We as Christians, we turn to God a lot, as we should, in prayer. But we have to be careful. And here's a challenge I'd like to give to all of us. Sometimes we kind of dump everything on God. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that for just a second. But we have to be careful. Because as Christians, we can do this. And we're always and we're looking. And we're praying. I need a sign. I need something. And whatever it is. And as Christians, we tend to kind of fall into this trap. Can't help it. It's just normal for us, for our idea of God. And yet, I think we're being challenged to that today. Is that no, we have to get to work. And the work is being a witness of Christ, just plain and simple. Being good people, forgiving, showing compassion, and trying to be the best person that we can be. So that we don't get into the situation where we say, well, God, do something. God, do something. Which is, I think, an event that we can get into, whereas suddenly angels come and says, nah, you've got to do something. You've got to do something. Why are you staring at the sky? when compassion is needed here? Why are you staring at the sky when love is needed here? Forgiveness is needed here. And that makes the difference. So we come back full circle. Back to the mountain, back with the apostles. This is not a mountain, but this is our temple right now. We come here and we worship God, and yet we doubt. Is this Jesus' teaching really going to work? Well, you know what? It's only going to work when we give it a try. And not even try, when we do it. We have to go out into the world and do it. We have to live as Jesus taught us to live. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Is it going to be painful? Yes. Are we going to get hurt? Yes. Everything that we can, what if, all the what ifs, just put yes, because that's what's going to happen. And we are going to have to do that. And that is the message for us today. It's not way up in the sky, it is right here. And Jesus asks us to be compassionate to one another and be his witnesses to the end of the world. And I believe that is what his ascension is challenging us to do today.